I want to speak about this sassy, moist tether punk by the name of Lens Benz, who's got a YouTube channel, but is too ashamed of themselves and afraid to show their face on camera. So they hide behind the camera, putting out their little videos. This tether, is trying to, redefine and reshape what it means to be a foundational Black American, the core facts that make us a foundational Black American. He's trying to say that Jamaicans and Puerto Ricans are foundational Black American because they were enslaved over here in America, which couldn't be further from the truth. This tether sassy punk is just trying to leave the back door open to our lineage so his fellow tethers can run up into it. And he's just mad because I shut it down at the end of the day, because what happened was he jumped into one of my comments, watching my videos, and proceeded to comment on the video I put out on that African tether nurse calling for war on our foundational Black American lineage. And he tried to say that African tether nurse was, FBA, and I shut that down. And he got mad, and he's been recording videos left and right on me, and this is just a sassy tether punk, who's just mad and, disgruntled because I shut him down, you know what I mean? And Brother Tariq Nasheed told us that once we got, our FBA lineage out there in the mainstream public lexicon, and we got the talk of our reparations out there in the mainstream public lexicon, that $5 FBAs were going to pop up all over, and sure enough, they are. You know what I mean? Now, this Lens Benz is a sassy, moist tether punk, like I said, and he's trying to, put out the false narrative that, I'm anti-gay, I'm homophobic, this, that, and the other. I ain't anti-anybody, but I am anti, people trying to sit up and lie on my lineage and put lies and words into my mouth. You know what I mean? And, not all of these people that subscribe to alternative lifestyles, but there's, a great deal, a good deal of, males that subscribe to these alternative lifestyles. They punctified and so sassy that, females got more nuts than them, truth be told, that whenever you call them out at the end of the day, they want to take up a victim role, cry that you anti, them, you homophobic, this, that, and the other, which couldn't be further from the truth. This sassy, moist, tether punk, Lens Benz, is just mad because I called him out, because I know that we got some riders in the FBA community that subscribe to alternative lifestyles, but nowadays, more often than not, these sassy punks are just, so emotional based and based in their feelings and punctified, that back in the days, you had dudes that subscribe to alternative lifestyles. They had a little bit more courage inside of themselves. They wasn't so sassy and punctified as what we got going on nowadays, So I got the audio and the video of this, cowardice, punctified, sassy tether by the name of Lens Benz. And, we're going to walk through and talk about it how we normally do. But this will be a one and done for me, family. I ain't going to keep going back and forth for no sassy, moist tether punk, This tether, ain't standing on no truth, and I'm constantly standing on truth and going to war for my FBA lineage, you know what I mean? And his content is based off of a lie. And, content based off of a lie ain't going to stand because it ain't got no truth. You need truth as your foundation for your content to stand, so this ain't going to resonate with nobody. It's going to fail and flop, and we're going to walk through and talk about this thing how we normally do, family. Fair use.
Hey, you guys. So I didn't think that I'd be making a video this quickly, especially since, as you can see, I'm watching the premiere of my current or most recent video. But as you can see, shouted out this guy whose channel is FBA Revolt. And while
I don't need you to shout me out, I appreciate it if you don't shout me out. Just do your thing, you know what I mean? Stay out of my comment section, miss me.
typing, every time that I type his channel name to shout him out, I cringe because he said some things that led me to believe that he thinks similarly to a lot of other Black people throughout the diaspora and people throughout the world, because people act like the world is not anti-gay and anti-trans, but it is. But and it's because of colonization.
And again, I'm gonna keep reiterating that I ain't anti anybody, but if you hop in my comment section and you strike the first blow of hopping in my comment section, speaking lies on me and my FBA lineage, I'm gonna defend myself and shut that down. You know what I mean? Now, typically, like I said, this is what we see more often than not coming from these males that want to live alternative lifestyles. They punctify, sassy, all in their emotions. You know what I mean? And back in the days, you had, dudes that chose to live alternative lifestyle. They wasn't as sassy and, cowardice as the individuals we got running around here nowadays. But let's continue. And they think that everybody gotta agree. Everybody don't gotta agree with that lifestyle. It ain't producing no life. You know what I mean? And it's counterproductive. If you ask me, it ain't productive.
And white supremacy that it is, the whole divide and conquer. But anyway, what do you
And he said that being not a being anti-gay is feeding into white supremacy when it's just the opposite. White supremacy loves a sassy gay negro running around here because they know, truth be told, more often than not, you always got always got exceptions to the rule, but more often than not, a gay sassy punk ain't gonna fight no racism, white supremacy. You know what I mean? And the white supremacists love the fact that they ain't making no black life. They ain't producing no black family. So the white supremacists, this is why they feed that to, and try to pump that, ideology into our young. You see it on the TV, the movies, you see it everywhere you look because they want us to get to buy into that kind of lifestyle because they don't want us reproducing. So, yeah, they'll pump that all day because they don't want, no black family being created. So, miss me with that.
call it? I had a feeling that he was going to do what most people do, who are in the same field, and be anti-trans or find any reason to be anti-trans or to, you know, slight me in some way. And here it is. So I will no longer be tagging him in my videos unless they're videos like this that, refute whatever he has to say. I came to his channel and supported him. I've liked several of his videos. I have shouted out his videos through this channel, as you can see through multiple of my most recent videos. And the only video theme that I was saying in this video was that if this woman comes from the Caribbean, then she is a foundational Black American. And the point of this video was that
That couldn't be further from the truth. She's trying to say Caribbeans, Puerto Ricans are foundational black Americans. They were enslaved on American soil. And that couldn't be further from the truth. There was only one group enslaved on American soil, and that was our foundational black American ancestors. And I question anyone trying to remix and flip what our lineage is because this means they are op, you know what I mean? And they trying to tether on to our lineage and leave the back door open to our lineage for their fellow tethers to run in. You know what I mean? And we ain't having that. We must get pushback and resistance because anyone, not identifying our unique ethnogenesis we had here on American soil, they are op and they trying to ethnically erase our lineage, and we can't let that happen. We won't let that happen. But let's continue.
people who are from Puerto Rico, people who are Black and from Puerto Rico, who are Black and from any other U.S. territory, the Caribbean, what have you, these are foundational Black Americans. Anyone who was enslaved by America.
You hear how stupid this, punctified, sassy tether punk sounds? I don't even need to debunk him. He debunking himself. He sounds stupid. Puerto Ricans and Jamaicans are foundational black Americans. The hell if they are. But let's continue.
On American soil is a foundational.
He debunking himself. Let me rewind that so y'all can hear how stupid this punctified, sassy tether sounds.
By America, on American soil is a foundational, and is Black, is a foundational Black American. You know what I'm saying? If you have been enslaved, you come from that. You know what I'm saying? So
we hear that false narrative being pushed around that, everyone that comes from slavery, and it's mainly the tethers doing this, that just because people were enslaved, they're foundational black Americans, that don't make you a foundational black American, just being enslaved, our ancestors were the only ones enslaved here on American soil, and it ain't rocket science. People act like our lineage is rocket science, and this comes from, mainly the tethers, trying to leave the back door open to our lineage, such as this sassy voice punk tether by the name of Lens Benz, because our lineage, is self-explanatory. It ain't rocket science. You got to at least have one FBA parent to be a foundational black American. You can't have no immigrants in your family, and you must at least, at bare minimum, have one foundational black American parent. Your name can't be, in some database. Your family's name can't be in some database for immigration somewhere to be a foundational black American. And your name could be traced back to those 16 and 17 and 1800 census forms at the foundation of America. This is why we call ourselves the foundation, because we built America. We are the foundation. You know what I mean? But let's continue.
And you have ties to this country in that way, through that enslavement. So, as I said, there are people who are divisive within the community. He's clearly proving to be one of them. And I made it clear in these comments that you can see on the screen that, one, we could have just had a conversation, and two, you could have just, that this was.
Yeah, family, enough of this punctified, moist, sassy tether, because his content going fail and flop. He's sitting up being a op, making videos about me left and right, when I know females that got, more nuts than him, he's a soft, moist tether punk, and he trying to say I'm anti this and anti that. I'm anti nobody, and I don't gotta agree, with your lifestyle. You know what I mean? That's on you. You know what I mean? But the problem lies with me when you come in my comment section trying to lie on me and lie on my lineage. And your content going to fail and flop because it ain't based off of truth. In order for anything to stand and endure, it got to be based on truth, and truth got to be the foundation. Just my thoughts on the matter. Peace.